Okay, I think we're ready to start. Yeah. Okay. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this edition of European Lab Forum in Budapest, Hungary. My name is Élise Phamgia, and I'm the coordinator of Live Europe, which is an EU-funded initiative that gathers music venues to promote new European talent. But that's not the topic that's bringing us here today. This conference is actually taking place as part of Sphera, which is another EU-funded project that aims at giving a voice to the new generation through alternative media and cultural organization. And that's actually the topic that's bringing us today, right? So the role of independent cultural and media organizations to give a platform to the new generations. And to kick off this discussion today and provide us for a bit of food for thought, I would like to share with you the results of a poll that was conducted in 2020 in France, which showed that close to 50% of people between the age of 18 and 30 had signed a petition or defended a cause on the internet or on social media, and that this number had increased by 11 points in 5 years. The same poll showed that 40% of the same age group had already been volunteering, while 20% of them had joined protests or demonstrations. So what these figures show is that the new generations seem indeed to be more engaged and committed to defend causes they care about. From the Me Too movement to Black Lives Matter or the Friday for Futures, we see that the Generation Z, as we can coin it, feel directly confronted with the burning challenges of the 2020s that have accelerated during the pandemic. So while we see these topics that are really spreading across the general media, we see that, as it is often the case, it's the independent cultural and media organizations that are some sort of pioneer for societal challenges that really raise those concerns for the new generation and provide a safe place and tools to help them really discuss them. So to address this phenomenon, there's no better people than the ones who are behind these independent cultural and media organizations. And we are in luck because we are with them today. So to introduce them, first of all, I want to start with Tadi. So Tadi, you're a visual artist, DJ, and producer from Kosovo. You co-founded with your sister Bijat, which is a queer and feminist collective, and you'll tell us about the signification of Bijat afterwards, which I found very interesting. You also created Pristina is Burning, which is a queer performance club in Pristina. And it just so happened that you had the chance to play at the club Drugstore in Belgrade, which makes for the perfect transition to introduce Bane, who's a program manager at Drugstore and has also many other caps, as you're the programmer for the Resonate Festival, the co-founder of the Plus 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 Music Festival, and more recently the Puglia Festival, which I think we'll talk about more a little bit today, which includes a music residency and educational program for the local youth. And last but not least, we have Simon over here, who's a founding and board member of the Sphere Radio Association from Leipzig in Germany. So Sphere Radio aims at promoting exchange in society to fight its polarization, and they want to make their platform accessible to all people without any kind of discrimination whatsoever. So we have a very diverse set of panelists coming from various geographical territories in Europe, which I think will make a very interesting conversation for today, because we will really get to address these points in various different political and social contexts. So let's just delve into the conversation. At the end, we'll have time for questions for the audience. So yeah, please think about it if you want to have some for our speakers here. I also believe that we're being live streamed from the European Lab and Sphera social media. as well as the Lama Crew radio. So yeah, if you're following us from afar, I think you can probably also address us some questions. Well, now I think I've talked enough, so let's just give the floor to our panelists. Well, my first question for all of you is actually a very similar question for all of you. Since we're talking about the independent cultural and media organizations, and well, independence has a lot of different signification, whether you think of economic terms or if you think, from the side of the underground. And I think it would be very interesting to hear more a little bit about how you define yourself as independent, what's the specificity of your own organization, and that can make a good way for you to tell us a little bit more about you. So Tadi, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. So that was the kind of like the idea of creating Bijat, me and my sister, because we wanted to have this curatorial independence. We wanted to to find the artists, we to like make the events with like people that we liked, and like Pristina at that time was really, if I can say, a very masculine techno, and it was like most of the time, all the time, like male audience, male everything, basically, from the promoters to the performers. And then we wanted to have this like independence to kind of like create our own lineups and to find these people. But what is problematic, like we were talking with Bani as well, like the problem is where are we dependent on, which is the technical part of it, which is to find the venue, to find the sound system, to find the tools and stuff like that, because all this stuff are very costly, and we still don't have the means to actually buy those, and then to create the events we need to rent them out, and it costs a lot of money. So that's the thing. Like we want to be independent, but also like we're very dependent on the monetary part of it, and that's the struggle that we have. And we have ideas how to make the solution for this, but we don't necessarily have the support of like state-owned institutions and stuff like that. So we're still trying, and maybe in the future, maybe it's gonna shift like the attention of who's getting help from the state institutions. So I don't know. We are working towards it. Let's see. Maybe we're gonna have the support soon.
Great. And well, talking about this balance between the institutional, commercial support, I mean, you actually have you found a way to mix all of that. Banner, can you tell us more?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for invitation, and I don't really believe that there is independency in any of this, because one way or another, as Tadi mentioned, like you are dependent in some way at the end, on some level to let's say institutions, bureaucracy. In our cases, also corruption, either on like a small level or on like a big state level. So trying to be independent is really like a multitasking in a way that of course no one is really dictating you any kind of curatorial in any curatorial way, but at the end you kind of like auto-censor yourself to try to be independent in the end, like as we talked a bit earlier, you do make compromises and like making events that are like more commercial, and then like doing a couple of commercial events is bringing you means to do something that is really something that you want to do, and where the real value is let's say hidden, but I think the biggest problem in case of Serbia and Belgrade in particular is that the state institutions are not doing their own job. Like there's a lot of ways that they can, like, be really engaged in educating the young generations, but they're not doing it. So what's happening at the end is like the couple of venues are doing their own thing, but they are trying to educate new generations, which is very hard, and at the end it's just like the level of enthusiasm at the end is like what's really matters, because we never get any help from state or it's a similar situation.
Yeah, so trying to provide it for yourself, basically trying to still fulfill your mission, despite lack of support.
Sorry. I would add some funny or not so funny element. Like one of the events that we did with Pristina is Burning was that we went to that extent that we actually took a bank loan and then charged people like the minimum amount of money, like €2 per entrance, and whoever didn't have €2 they could still go in, and anybody else who wanted to pay more could pay more, just so that we pay back the loan. And like there was zero profit, but that was the only way that we could actually make the event, because like just renting the space and just the sound system, it was already too much, and let alone to pay the performance, which is all free. It was all about just the community. And so we are gonna against the wall. Like we really, like in this sense, we are very independent, like doing everything like on our own, but then there's no support from institutional.
You cannot escape the bank.
No, no.
All right, so we've heard, I think it's interesting, like perspectives from Pristina, from Belgrade. Maybe let's now move to Germany and Leipzig. So how is it for you, like in terms of independence? How do you find yourself into this definition?
Well, I think in Germany we have this very privileged situation that we think about first world problem independency. So we have quite some support from the country, or even European programs that are accessible way more easy, and also cultural institutions within the city councils, they are really open. And so from this side we have a complete different circumstance than you guys have, and also people here in Hungary face. We also don't have this political corruptness in the same scale that you are facing. And so the independency that we are actually aiming for, and the privilege we have to think about independency, is actually is looking in a total different direction, because we don't have to take care so much about this basic things that should be there already. For us, the independency mainly goes in the direction of being independent of big media companies, like the ones I don't want to name the names of them, and don't being dependent on algorithms that you don't have influence on, not being dependent on commercial structures you don't believe in. So trying to build up circular systems that you create yourself with your own values and with your own structures, with your own projects, and hopefully supporting many small projects, not necessarily only in Germany, also outside of Germany. And I guess that's the approach we are trying to go for. And like for me, I'm really happy to be able to come to a place, to Hungary now, to especially this meeting, because it would be so nice and important to build up structures with our privileges that are accessible to countries outside of Germany, or outside of these very privileged areas. And so.
I would like to follow up on the theme that you mentioned about being independent from the big media. I think along the scale of complete experiences that I had with organizing events is, I think the main, let's say, enemy is media, and the filtering that big media is doing towards making trends, establishing fashions that are circulating in very let's say narrow areas of pretty much 4 countries in Europe. And I think everyone here is following events or festivals that are pretty much copy paste from big media, let's say force feeding of let's say curators that are organizing big festivals and involved in big media, etc. And us on the periphery, even though there is a knowledge and there is the let's say some kind of structure that we build, we are completely dependent on this media force feeding people of what is and what is not fashion at the current moment. And then you need to kind of follow to a certain degree, definitely. And independence that we are also trying to do, that Simon is talking about, is to kind of back off from this huge media influence that is and we saw on the last panel that the people who are actually in the media and independent one, how they are struggling and what they are doing in for that topic. But yeah, I don't know, the further you go from these centers of power, which are pretty much political and financial, you are less and less capable of influencing what is happening, and you can do that also to a certain extent, but then you need to follow back on that compromise. You need to pay your dues to the current time, and young people, and let's say unfortunately, are more and more driven to this maybe false idea that you have some kind of independence in what you are reading online. Everything is accessible, but as Simon said, we need to also count those algorithms that are creating small or big echo chambers,
and we'll get to that later. Actually, that's great that you're bringing us this topic, because it's really something that I wanted to tackle. But maybe just first to do a bit of a roundup of this first round. I mean, what I think is very interesting in what you're saying and in what I felt from all of your intervention is that, okay, so we see that independence can take some different forms and shapes according to the territories you're in, but what is the common point between all of you is that really you're at the forefront of pushing challenges that are common to our society, and even before that, they're being mainstream in the general media, and I would say that's really one of your forces and something that you do on the day-to-day job as cultural and media activists. And for example, Simon, I think that's one thing that really struck me when I read a little bit more about Sphere Radio on your website, is that you were saying that you really wanted to bring I'm going to find a way to say that. Wait, emancipatory perspectives on society and culture and music. That basically you really wanted to have people from all walks of life really tackle their opinions on and bring new topics to the forefront. How did you come to build that?
Well, first of all, the idea of Sphere Radio did not start with the wish of creating a radio station. The idea was to create an alternative network system, network platform for social interaction, and to give people a space where they can freely express what they are working on, what they are believing in, what they yeah, just also to exchange and make things accessible which are not accessible to everyone at any time, because you don't live in a metropolitan area, for example, and you live on a countryside where you just don't find this input, and yeah, or the algorithm does not provide you with this information. And so yeah, and then we were thinking how this could be possible, and the most important thing to make that happen is actually that you need a stable social network, like a physical and a digital one at the same time, that is spreading and contributing to each other. So if you do a show, for example, in our case now with the radio, this show will be only as successful as the radio station is visible or hearable due to other shows that bring in their own network. So you multiplicate with each show that has a different perspective, the possibility for another show that it can be heard. And so in the beginning we did very straight curational work in the sense of that we did not aim to do any entertainment program. We did mainly content talk shows about political topics in any direction. And if there was music shows, they were very conceptual, aiming a certain topic and going more deep inside the actual work behind what you listen, and not just entertaining. And yeah, and then we gave as much control as possible to each show contributor person, and that they have freedom of create their own space as they need it. And it's not just provided by us and done in the way that we think it's best for them. It's more like they choose the way that they think it's best for them. And yeah, and we're still finding out how it's possible and what is necessary. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is the question.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that's what's really striking me is that it's not just about you shaping the content for them, but it's about also empowering your audience to really have a say and contribute to the editorial control of what you're doing. And well, I think it's also a thing that is probably challenging to do at all levels in all kind of territories. Like, and I'm thinking there it's one thing to do it online, but also when you think about rural areas, there's also another challenge to that, and that's why I want to turn to you, Bano, because in your festival Puglia, it's also one big challenge, right? To really also try to appeal to the youth in the rural area and to really have them involved in the festival that you're doing.
Yeah, last September we had the first edition of the festival, and it was kind of like a movie-like, scenario, because the people from that region, I think they didn't have any cultural event for more than 30 years or something like this. If that doesn't shock you, I don't know what to say, but there was a one rock concert in that village, like 2000, I don't know, 4 or something like that, and everyone is like talking about it still. Yeah, I wanted to follow, on that concert, and like I started to think about the festival that could happen there, or not even the festival, just like any kind of like cultural event that is not expected, let's say, because you have this like couple of sockets throughout the year where people are expecting to have let's say entertainment in some way that Sim was talking about, and I want kind of like to switch on that idea, like to give them something that is like out of the format of expected, in a way of it's not a public holiday, it's not religious holiday. You don't have to dress up, to follow along that idea, and like to maybe like make a let's say hub for people from around the village, to to have this place as something that whenever they come along, that something's gonna be there, for them to learn and hear or whatever. So the idea, just to tell to the audience, that is that the place will be like full year having events in the future. Let's hope. But for now, we are just trying to rebuild the facilities, and to make a music studio, to make a media library, and that for the start will be just enough, I think, for the local people. And now at this point, I'm trying to get in contact with the local school, and to get in contact with local kids. But the funny thing is that maybe because of the I don't know, content that the first edition of the festival had, we kind of more attracted paradoxically older people. Also, there is, I think the older people are stripped down from any kind of peer pressure, and they're just coming along whatsoever happening, So that was funny to see. So let's say for the first year we kind of succeeded and completely failed, because there was not many kids, that came on their own, But later in the evening, I'm going into the details, but it's funny to reconstruct what's expected or not in the societies that are that we are kind of away from in urban kind of surrounding. And yeah, people are expecting obviously some kind of entertainment, but when they see it's not there, there's some kind of I don't know, they're just questioning what's happening here, and I think that's interesting to have these people their imagination a bit
bit disrupted.
Yeah. So I think that was the success. Let's say that people were just, what's this,
Yeah, and it really gets to the point again. That's will be what I want to tackle, is how to particularly target the new generations. But maybe before that, Tadi, I want to ask you as well. Obviously we see across Europe and the world the empowerment in terms of the questions related to queer, to gender, really taking more space in our societies. And I'm wondering how is that movement translated in Kosovo, and how what's your role, as a leader in those terms?
Okay, so in Kosovo it's really important when is the first thing happening. So it's since it's a very new country, and a lot of stuff are happening for the first time, that is the boom, when somebody's doing it the first time, and then it just unfolds and just develops very quickly. So so for example, when we did Pristina is Burning, obviously we took the name from the movie Paris is Burning, and we saw that there's a lot of events happening from the queer community for the queer community. And then we decided that we want to change that, and we wanted to make those events open for everybody, because why does it have to be closed like that? And so we decided to do these events in different venues of Pristina, and then it really became famous, and then people, even a German photographer came to take pictures voluntarily. It was funny and cute. So yeah, he came 3 times, literally. We were doing something good, I guess. So then, when you see 4 years passed, and now there's like many different collectives, queer collectives that are doing these events and stuff, and there are zines coming out, publishing magazines and stuff like that. So it's like developing quickly, but for us it's like really important for people to do the first step, to start doing something, and then the ice is broken, and then it just develops. And we're trying to reach where everybody else, is already, but it's a bit tough for us because we still deal with visas. We still have the movement problem. It's pretty cruel, if I can say. It's a basic human right to be able to move and to travel, and we still cannot do it. And we pretty much try our best, but then this is one of the main problems. Yeah.
And I want to come back on something you said on the genesis of Pristina is Burning, is that, you wanted to break the silos and, target more people than just people who are involved in the community.
Yeah.
And and it's something that's really one of the challenges of our time as well. How do we break the echo chambers, and especially for the new generation? I'm going to say that something that's a bit of a stereotype of the new generation, like the Gen Z. That, I mean, in my image can be, this young person that's on TikTok and on Instagram and doesn't necessarily relate to the world, but at the same time you see, you have also the opposite model of the Greta Thunbergs, and what I said also in the introduction about people, despite the media that they're involved in, they're super committed, they're super aware of what's happening in the world, and there's this very dual image of the new generation, and in your work it's really something that you try to do to target them. And my question for all of you is really given the situation, how do you manage to really target them or not? Maybe to start with you, Simon, how do you see this challenge?
Well, it's not so easy to answer because I'm not in this generation, and I have some friends that might belong to this generation, but it's pretty much, I think the solution or the key is always by integrating people that are in this generation and they have the motivation to just build up stuff. So what we can do as a platform is just providing space for expression and giving them the chance to build it the way they need, as I was saying before already. And targeting, we have an editorial, and this editorial is split it in two parts. We have a creative editorial, which is only for our own creative work, and then we have a proposal editorial where we talk about the proposals that come from the outside. And in this creative editorial we face questions like, how can we reach certain groups? For example, now we are going to move our studio to a container which is placed in a neighborhood that is super boring, there is nothing going on. It's a really nice area, but the people there are partly bored to hell. Young people there are not really having possibilities to access cultural things of many cases, except they go out of this neighborhood. But even that is for some families quite difficult, because if you don't know that something exists, it's really hard to get into these certain information circles or input circles. So what we are trying there is then, for example, think, okay, what kind of event can we do, for example, that brings people into that information circle, like our information channels. And or we created this studio container in a way that we built very big windows, and it's on a square where people pass by, and the big windows make, hopefully create the possibility that people can see, okay, that's radio, that's how radio can work. It's not a big mystery or a big magical thing that you have to learn through years, so it's quite easy. You don't even need a radio studio to do radio. And yeah, just making them aware of the very low steps you have to go to actually do something in the radio, and then it's in their own hands. So it's really like by providing them with the tool set they need to access this space.
Yeah, access is probably one of the most important keys. Well, Banner.
I would follow up on Simon's ideas and reflections of his experiences. I don't want to sound pessimistic or nihilistic in a way, but I think for some reason I think like doing all this like. Outside projects and like independent stuff is in some way a trap that and I will follow on the idea that you said, like this demystification of like how things are like presented to be and seem complicated to do, like this media, like huge media or whatever. I think it's just like this like a fake barrier that that is there for us from like being outsiders, let's say from in like class level or whatever like social level you want to put it. It's just like this fake barrier that's like presented to us, so we cannot influence the system that is already there, that is already like presented, that is like established, and like we just like we are the generation already that this way of thinking is like something in stone, like there's this like big media and like you cannot do nothing about it. I think that I think it's really a trap that we are really chasing our tail pretty much all the time by like this like inventing new ways, so like making the new new radio, new club, new everything. Like I think this like let's say imaginatory guy up there is like laughing at it, and like we are not we are like I think losing energy in like making these little steps and like trying new stuff, but the structure is there and it's set up to be there, so it will serve us, and like we are fooled to think that it's not penetrable, like. And I think that where of course we need to do stuff where they're doing, because then like there will be nothing basically. But like I think that the way to step forward is to, I think, shift from this individualistic and like this way of approaching, like to also all the time create content for instead of the instances that they should be doing that. I think we should like focus on like go there and like change that stuff, and I think that's the solution, maybe like to actually bring really huge audience to the topics, ideas, and like ideologies that we are all striving to put out there.
Mm-hmm. And Tadi, I see you nodding. Like, what's your opinion on this?
Yeah, but Bane said something that really relates to us as well, because that's what we're trying to do as Bijat, especially in Is Burning, to really bring the bigger audience to a very marginalized group of people in Kosovo. And that, in our case, always comes with a bit of risk, because we don't want to also get like the wrong audience, because we still are a homophobic society, and we're trying to like make it as open as possible, but there always this chance of like, like, are you pushing it too far? Or But then I wanna like say like a tiny funny thing how you can reach different audiences with like really simple stuff. Like I'm also a designer, and I got hired by this club in Pristina to do the flyers, and then when I started to do them, I was trying to like play around with it, and then like there was a lot of people from the community were like, okay, so it's for us as well, you know, like they thought that like, okay, so it's not this like a completely macho thing, you know, but they also felt like welcomed, and then the whole audience started to be like very diverse and changed just because of the power of the flyers, you know, just some illustrations. And but we still are dealing with the more basic stuff, like we still are trying to give voice more to women, to queer people and stuff like that. So yeah.
But yeah, just also to come back to what you were saying about like not attracting the wrong people.
Yeah.
Like in many times, it's also a question of educate. Well, how you manage to educate them,
yeah,
right?
but we're trying, like definitely. In like everybody needs to do their work, so we're trying to provide some entertainment and to like develop the culture. And there's a lot of people who are writing, and then you have like different mediums. That's the most important. Like the first thing is done, and now we need to develop it more and more. So we don't have those problems, but unfortunately, like we still have a lot of more work to do, and we're trying.
You wanted to say something?
Yeah, I also wanted to come back a little bit to the question you were formally asking, and also what the guys said about. I think one of the key things within reaching target groups that you don't have access to, or that are just not represented enough, is definitely always like collaborating with projects that work already for quite a while, or their main profession is within these groups that you are aiming to achieve to reach. So, for example, when it comes to reaching a younger audience or another marginalized audience, this is in Leipzig, for example, it's a big topic as well, because Leipzig is in Germany, yes, but it's still on the eastern side of Germany, which used to be GDR, and there's a lot of old history related problems that are in the society really strong. It may it be on right side, right-wing movement, may it be on discrimination of other kinds, not necessarily related to right-wing mindset. And yeah, so I was not sure if I understood really what Bane was saying. For me, it sounded like we have to address the politicians and to change the political system that is working more effectively and is providing us as culture workers with a better system and more budget and all that. But for me, that comes up again, the difference between me working in Germany, where the system is different, and I don't have to take care so much about that anymore.
You're just scared of the GDR will come back.
No, and the situation in Serbia where you just don't have the support from the state, because for me, I'm really happy if I'm independent from fundings.
No, I understand your angle, but like I'm looking at it historically for our region, pretty much all the most impactful and like most let's say innovative art was state funded, like 95%, let's say. And from that experience, like I think there is like this like scare of being like monitored by the state, or like censored or whatever. But like I there are good examples in history that actually what if you have the state support and you have right people in the right places, like this is when this thing are happening, because like there is no better way for artists to be artists than to be independent from the market. I really do believe that, and I think that history really showed us that this is the case, and then the way to do that and to achieve that is through the, okay, I'm personally and politically against state as it is, but like this is closer stuff that we have at the moment in history that is not binding us all like in one society, let's say. Of course, the ideal utopian internationalist way of connecting people would be something for all of us to strive to, but the structures that we have now at the moment are like that. We have the nation states, and this is what we have at the moment. So I think this platform, let's say, and format is something that we are, especially the new generations, are taking it for granted. It is what it is, and that's it, and we don't have any influence on it. And I think to follow up on your intro, you were saying that the movement that are happening now, social movements. We can see that like with the not, let's say, like a little push that things are possible, and this is the issues that are very important at the moment, but also we can strive for more and in that sense I'm thinking that we should cherish the independence in that sense that you're free from funding, you don't have to be obliged to but this is the end product of the wrong system. Like I think it should be like upside down, and like we have the state, so it's supporting its citizens. Like the problem is that's not working, and we are just like, okay, like we're gonna find another ways. I think the core problem is to change that, and like
and maybe the question is, okay, so what's the role of the state in supporting culture and maybe in culture and media, and maybe the question is not about controlling what's being said editorially, but how, and we've seen it through history, how like public support can either help actors take risks in programming, in cultural programming, how it can help you actually do what you do, but do it better, with better conditions, with, I don't know, let's say fair remuneration of artists, fair remuneration of people, and maybe, there's also, I think that's one of the big questions that's, again, COVID has showed us that, maybe that's where some of the lines should be moving. And well, actually, this also brings me to maybe the last question I wanted to ask to you before we open the floor for questions from the audience. So actually, well, Simon and Banner, you're both part of the Resets network, which is a network that was initially started in France to really gather all the voices of the independent cultural and media organization to really see how we could change the way that we actually see the political the public policies to like dedicated to culture and the media. And I think one of the big virtue of it being transferred from the national level in France to a more European level is also how, well, while you don't have the same situation, you're not dealing with the same situation, maybe even your struggles are a bit different. Just the virtue of you being able to connect together to really exchange like we're doing right now really brings something to inspire you and to bring your project to the next level. So I first want to ask you, well, since your two organizations were really involved in this reset movement, perhaps why did you engage in it, and why do you think it's important to have them?
Well, for us it was really interesting to join the Reset idea, because we were basically from the first moment on working in a similar direction, creating network spaces. I was earlier mentioning circular systems, And yeah, and so it was just very important to finally meet some organization that is going in a similar direction, that has possibilities that we don't have, because we are just very small and we don't have European funding options currently, and it doesn't look like we will have them soon. And yeah, and just because it's really interesting to create a network that is on a larger scale exchanging knowledge, skills, and possibilities to smaller corporations, smaller institutions and projects that will never be able to go in this direction. Yeah, and especially when it comes to fundings, I think these networks are so important, because a small organization, it changes immediately the possibility for a smaller organization by being part in such a network to get fundings. And yeah.
Yeah, maybe, well, if you don't manage to get a hearing ear and support from the state, maybe the EU level can do it for you?
Yeah, I mean, we are not giving up on like the state help, obviously, but yeah, the idea to be part of this like larger network is something that is really the ultimate goal. Like we want to really reach to as many people possible and to collaborate as many people possible, because I think as you mentioned before, these like echo chambers are really not productive. Everything is like spiraling to itself at the end, and it's very pivotal for a Drugstore as an organization to have inputs, different inputs from different formats of like cooperatives, organizations, institutions, being that the radio or let's say gallery, or the more you are integrated in something, like the more you strive to be part of it, and like to actually for the beginning, let's say, just like mimic some stuff, that's also like some beginning, and then while you're doing that, ideas are popping up, and like you can actually produce some actual new ideas, and like to have some spin of the old ones, or to also engage with other cultures, and also to in that sense try to preserve yours, and I think that is the core values of this network.
And Tadi, did you know about this network before, and like when are you joining?
Yes, of course I've heard, but I want to say something about this. You guys are talking about these connections and exchanging and everything, and it's not the same for us still. I still want to get back to the problem that we have with movement. Like, how can we collaborate really if you can visit but we cannot? It's not vice versa. And going back to the photographer, like so many times it happened to me that I gave interviews about Prishtine's burning, about Bijat, about like my work as an artist, and so many students, European students, did their college degrees with a topic of Kosovo, and at some point it kind of starting to feel like we're this, like, I don't know, exotic animals in a cage, like we are constantly being studied, and we're like clapped, like, wow, you're doing great, you're doing amazing, but then like the big issue for us is that we want to be equal as everybody else, we want to like give back, and we want to be able to move into for me, I really got like first-hand music education from Drugstore, from Belgrade, and I couldn't go to Berlin to visit the artists that I was liking, and musicians, and I was going to Belgrade, and as much as I love Belgrade, I really want to move forward, and of course. So now I have a job and I have a salary, and I can have a visa, but for the students of Kosovo, they're really trapped, and it's a huge issue for us.
So yeah, so even if you do provide them with a solution, with an escape, it's still like there's a bigger problem at hand that we should not
like
forget and spread.
It is human right. It is very, very like important. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, I think now we have a bit more time to move for questions from the audience. So yeah, if you have anything that you wanted to ask specifically, well, to one of the speakers, or maybe just a question on the topic of the conference, of the panel discussion today, this is your time. I think we will have a volunteer that will be moving around with a mic. If not, we can just share. Yeah, it's a small room after all, so that I think we can just stand up and give you the mic.
Thank you to all the speakers. I'd just like to know a bit about the impact that you think you've had through what you've been doing on young people where you're from. And do you do it for the impact, or you do it for yourself, or is it all of it? I'm just wondering about the outcomes of what you've been doing and what it's actually achieved in a positive way. Hopefully. Thank you.
Maybe I'm not the right person then. Well, for my perspective, we are running like kind of a big venue in Belgrade, and the program is very diverse, you know, and the impact is like different on the other on different levels, you know. But I think it's been like 10 years that we are operating. We did like numerous number of events, and I think one generation really kind of like had our venue as the maybe only space in Serbia, or even in region that that can, like, you know, follow up on the let's say cutting edge developments in music or culture in general. And we started off as like a super experimental place, but those compromises to, you know, get you, you know, through the day, and like to keep you moving financially, has been, you know, diversing our problem targets, also people who are coming, and like also the motives, as your question is also about, are changing through time, you know. In the beginning, like the motives were like you see that you see the need in the society for something, and you see how it's developing somewhere else, and how maybe it should be, and you have your own ideas how it can implement in your society, your culture, how your, you know, society can like give back, etc. But yeah, through time, when you, like, you know, gain more experience, you meet more people, you see how you know, audience, the users of the program, let's say, put it like that, are responding. Also, your own motives and like way how you are projecting the ideas are changing. So at this point, we are doing it. Because we established ourselves as something, some institution that, like, you know, for 10 years is doing something, you know, and then like we are now the place that people are like, you know, almost looking without even like knowing, you know, why they are looking at it. You know, it's just there for so long. You know, you develop a habit for something. That's why institution, let's say, is you know, derived from the meaning of the word. I think you know, where we want to go from now, and what is it there for us. It's like, you know, to really, you know, bring higher and higher level of this achievement to the table, and like to the society that we are part of, you know. We already like are connected with so many international institutions, and this new network is also like one side of it. But you know, you always, you know, there are so many new stuff happening all the time, and then you want to be part of many. And you are kind of catalyst for the young people, which is the subject of the panel as well. So knowing that, like, you know, someone is coming to the events that you are making for some, let's say, information, cultural experience, it's very valuable, and this, let's say, amalgam of everything is what's keeping us doing it. Yeah, I hope I answered. Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have another answer for that, or I see there's another hand that was raised?
You want to answer to that?
I just want to say that I wish I had your guys' problems. As I said many times, like, we still deal with like more basic stuff, and to answer your question, like, it's definitely it's not just a personal drive, it's more what you want to see in your city, in your society. Like with Pristina is Burning and with Bijat, it's like you don't have to be part of one community to really care for their problems, you know. And we saw this marginalized group of people who were our friends, who were sleeping over at our flat and everything, and sharing their problems. You just don't care if you are part of the community, you know, like they are part of your city, and then you like really try to help. And so it is definitely for the impact, and I think that we've been successful with that. Like, there's more collectives, more stuff happening, and so yeah, it's a bit of both. Like, it's what you want to see in the city, but also like to want to see the change there. Yeah.
And I would just agree on what you said. I think it's pretty much what we're following in, and yeah, I think I would just give the mic to the crowd again.
We have a few more minutes, so don't be shy. Otherwise, we can just continue the conversation over a drink. There you go.
Thank you. It's just one thing you said, Tadi, that you mentioned that people like staying over at your couches. And do you feel like, apart from having like a, what you say, like cultural impact from doing what you do, you also have like a social impact of creating like.
Well, it always starts small, I guess, and then it grows. So thing is that the main challenge that we have is that we reach more like rural parts, like not just the Pristina, it's the capital of the city. Like, the main challenge is now to like move to the other cities that some of them are more religious, some are more like I don't know, like just different, and that is gonna be the challenge. So yeah, it moved from the room to the whole city, but now we want to reach like the whole Kosovo. And because in our events that we were doing, like we had people from villages that they never been to Pristina before, you know, and they came all in drag, you know, and it's like, for them it was like Pristina to them was like Belgrade to me. So yeah, you start small and then like it just grows and like have a life of its own. So it's happening. It's already happening. Like a week ago, there was this new launch magazine of Hüneşat, is this queer collective that they just established this zine, and they made a public event in the middle of the city, and like everybody gathered, and like when you see in 3 years or 4 years, like that changed. Before we would be like, we should like invite the police just in case or something, you know, and then yeah, literally, and now it's like no one cares, and that's what we're aiming to do. So everybody has its space, and you follow what you like, but everybody has a voice, everybody has a space to express themselves. Yeah, that's the main.
Very inspiring.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Awesome, thanks. One more for the road. Are we good?
I would have a question also to Tadi.
I feel attacked.
The superstar.
No, please don't be. No, I'm just really curious. How do you think that maybe like collectives like ours could help you, for example, regarding this travel issue, regarding other stuff that may not be accessible to you, and we have the privilege to access it, and how we can maybe exchange our privileges and make.
I'm coming after you after this.
But maybe some people are listening that are also interested
I'm
in
joking. Of course, like. So the thing is that like it's very interesting to me to hear your problems, and then when I think of the problems that we have, so I don't know, it's very different, but then we have the same cause, we have the same motive. We all want to exchange with the city we live in, with the environment that we live in. So definitely having your experience and like how you manage like technical stuff, like that's also a very important part. Like how do you make it well enough so you have the attention of institutions, or like how to change them, or how to make them like we were talking with Bani earlier that like what is valuable as in culture for our state institutions is that like very, very old school, like opera, or like I don't know, playing Mozart and stuff like that. Like electronic music, it's not very in the cultural spectrum at all yet. And but it takes like a German photographer or like an American student to come and to say like, oh, that's cool, and then they have we have the attention finally of the institutions, and it's always like that in Kosovo, you know. Like if I wanted to use some space, it would be like years of research and trying to like get the attention or to get the license to use it. But then there's a student that comes from you, and then they take it like in 5 days, you know. So it's like it's very helpful that you are vocal with what is valuable, you know, and then like our institutions are following, you know, because you are one step like higher in that sense, you know what I mean? Like so we're trying to like get there, but then the EU's job is to like literally free us from the cage that we have, you know. Like we still need the visas, you know, and it's very cruel. Like you guys really don't know what we go through to just get some visa. You need to like literally tell like your salary, where you've been, like do you have a couch to stay. Like once I got refused a visa because people said like the flat that you're going to, it's only for 3 people, and the 4th people does like you don't have a place to stay, you know. And it's like it's brutal. So like you really need to have like a working contract that they can literally track you like monthly, like how much money you get, can you afford they literally like check your money, how much money you have in a month, to see if you can actually afford to be in Europe, you know. And it's like really, really cruel. So that is a big, I don't know how cultural like independent institutions like this can help us in this sense, you know.
We can write invitations and contracts that you can come over.
Yeah, definitely. That we always like rely on that and depend on that, you know.
And Photoshop.
I still haven't done that. Yeah, so that is the help that we get, and that's the only source of help that we have in that sense.
And that's really not a big deal for us to do, actually. Really, because we don't have any. No one will ask us if
we have a deal.
Yeah, we got a deal.
And actually we're always afraid to ask this because we're like, as soon as they know how much it takes to get the visa, they're gonna be like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have time, you know. So it's like a stack of paper, but then thank you, like any kind of help.
Yeah, we need an open source pool for this issue, actually.
Imagine like creating an agency for this, like
there you go.
Just giving invitations for
it's like in this hour and a half, we really managed to solve some issues, and hopefully like call for action to the audience. Like, there's a glimmer of hope there that we can try to capitalize on. All right. Well, thank you so much to our speakers for joining us today.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you for the audience. Thank you to European Lab as well for the invitation. It was a pleasure to moderate this panel. And yeah, the one right after is on new waves of activism, and it promises to be a great one. So yeah, please come.
Thank
All
you.
right, thanks.
Bye-bye.